My name is Eickhel Mendoza. I'm a Business Applications MVP and also the Business Apps Team Lead at Intelequia Technologies. I'm also the author of the Power Apps Cookbook. It's a little project that I created with Pact, the editorial, to bring something to the world about some recipes, as the name implies, as the cookbook implies, some recipes about everything around Power Apps, Power Platform, Power Automate, some things that you can see to adapt to your use cases on your everyday projects, okay? You can find me on my almost all the time on Twitter. This is my handle, or you can find more information about me on Intelequia, that's the name of my company, or my blog, that is powerneighbors.com. Okay. I'm here to talk to you about Power Platform Dataflows. You can see here is a tool that Power Platform gives us to connect to services and get that information to Dataverse. As you can see, we have connectivity to cloud services, content, databases, APIs. No matter the service that you want to connect, even on local services that you may have on your organizations, you can use Dataflows to extract that information into Dataverse. The good thing that we have here is that we have an ETL that is extract, transforms, and load in this information or this data using Power Query. That is an amazing tool because you can have all the information from that data source, transform it to whatever do you need to use and put it there. And you can use multiple data sources in a single data flow for this kind of process, okay? This is all the slides that I have.
Hey, Eickhel, before you jump into the demo.
So to prepare this demo too, so I can show you how it works. I prepared a simple SharePoint list with 10 persons here that you see all random people here with some identifier, just a number and the full name. Okay, so wrong link. Okay, so in the Power Platform we have something called Dataflows. You can find it here under Dataverse. You can go to Dataflows and you will be presented with this screen. Here I have 3 Dataflows to show you as an example to see how it works. And to use this Dataflows, I'm going to use the SharePoint list that I just showed you. And I created a solution here with a table that is called SharePoint Dataflow. The idea is to take that information from SharePoint to this table, okay? So it's an easy table that has the same columns that the SharePoint list has, an ID and a full name. And how can we create this data flow to take this data? We click here on New Data Flow, put in the name, Platform Community Call. This is easier. Okay. The great thing that I was telling you about Power Query is that we can get information from many data sources. As you can see here, you can use IBM, Oracle, MySQL, not only a service provided by Microsoft. In this case, we are going to select for this case SharePoint Online List because that's where we are getting this data. We can get from folders. In this case, it's a library. So we click that and then put the URL where the SharePoint list is located. Okay, I'm going to put the SharePoint URL. And there's something here in this specific case for SharePoint is that you can have one implementation of the connection. I recommend you to use the version number 2 because you can select from which view in SharePoint are you getting the data. This is useful because if you are creating a view for this data, you can specify only the columns you want. In this case, I only want the identifier and the full name, not the created by or the modified by or any other metadata, okay? So I'm going to select, just retrieve the columns from the default view in SharePoint list, okay? Once I put this URL, sorry, I forgot to put it completely, I need to create a connection. I'm going to delete this so you can see. You just simply need to select an existing connection, create a new one, put the name of this connection. If you need to get data from a local server, you will use a data gateway in order to collect that information. And the type of authentication in this case is going to be a Office 365 organizational account. So we click next. And once it gets that information, it will start showing me all the lists that you have on SharePoint. I'm going to find the data flows. You can use the filter here. I'm going to select this list, and it will show me the first part of the information if you have a long list. I'm going to click on transform data. So it will allow me to transform all this data. I can, for example, choose any column. I can select here and say, oh, I don't want the ID. I don't want this column. I don't want the other. I want all this information here transform. For example, you can click here and I don't know, all in uppercase, and it will adapt all this information before putting that into Dataverse. It's a great opportunity so you can handle all the information. I don't want customers from, I don't know, from one particular location, or I don't want only this type of data or on this time range, okay? So if I put this information here, you will see that I will be creating some steps here based on everything I want to do with this data. In this case, I get the source information, I navigate to this list, and I'm setting an uppercase for this column, okay? So it allows you to build some transformations. You can find more information about all the transformations that you can create here from the documentation. And once you click next, you will see that you have the possibility to create a new table once the data is has been arrived to Dataverse, well, to the Dataflow. You can load the data to the existing table, or if you want, you are not going to load any data. We're going to see why this is a use case in the next example. I am going to select here my table, that is this one, SharePoint Dataflow, is the one that we see here. And I'm going to map the information. The full name goes here, the ID goes to this column, and the location, I'm not going to use that in this case. You can also select this check to delete the rows that are no longer in the query output. If I'm getting data that is always evolving or deleting from the data source, and you want that data to be deleted here in Dataverse, you can check this, and it will delete the information as soon as, well, as the Dataflow completes its refresh on Dataverse. It will slow down the process, but it's a good solution. Okay. If I click next, I will see some refresh settings about if I want to refresh manually. That's what we're going to do it right now, or automatically. You can set a frequency based on days, minutes, numbers, or a specific day or times. For this example, I'm going to select manually, and I always recommend send refresh failure for the creator of the Dataflow, because if it fails, I want to be reminded of that. Okay. Once we finish with the Dataflow, it will build the Dataflow, and it's going to be published. Something like when we are working with Power Apps, you build the app and then you publish. And once it gets published, it will refresh. As you can see here, the next refresh is in progress. Everything went well with the data coming from SharePoint to from SharePoint to Dataverse, and it's now refreshing the data. If everything goes as expected, we should be seeing in a minute the information here. See if it works fast, because I need it to work fast. Okay, it did finish. If I hit refresh here, I see the data. As you can see, I hit the transformation to make every full name uppercase, and now it's uppercase. But what happens if everything is working well? I'm going to refresh the data. For example, you set the refresh method to be every day, for example. If I click refresh again, it will get the data from SharePoint again. I will put that again on Dataverse. That means that it will not check if the data is already there. It will simply pull the information from the data source and put it on Dataverse. That is not what we want. If I click here on the refresh, let's see. Okay, you see, everything is duplicated. This is not what we want. We want the information, I'm going to delete it here, to be sync. So we have the data here. We have the data flows. This is the same data flow that we created just now. And I want to show you how can we do this. We can first get new data. We are creating a new query here. I'm going to select more, and I'm going to say, okay, let's do a new query to Dataverse. In this case, my organization is this one. I'm going to put it here, and I have the connection, and I'm going to select the table that I already have created on Dataverse. Let's see if it goes well. Okay, it's loading the data. Dataflow, this one. And I'm going to create this connection. What it's actually doing now is having in my data flow both queries, one querying the data source in SharePoint and the other one querying the data on Dataverse. So you can see here, we have no rows, And what are we going to do right now? We're going to create a merge query. What I'm going to say is, okay, I have data from SharePoint that I want to merge with Dataverse. Based on what? I have an identifier that is 1, 2, 3, these numbers, and I have this column created here. This is the thing that I don't like because I need to find the ID. This is the one. And I'm going to say, you are going to merge using this column. What kind of join are you going to do? You can see here, if I hover over this type of kind of joins, you will see how are they working. How are we going to do? Left outer join simply puts the information from the left side compared it to the right side. If everything is there, we're going to have it on Dataverse. If we select right outer join, it will give me only the data that exists and exist on the data source and on Dataverse by doing this merge. But where I'm going to step over to this one that is that we want is left anti, rows only in left. What it means that if I get data from the data source to Dataverse, it will load that data there. But if tomorrow there is new data there, only those 2 records or 3 records that are in the data source are going to be coming to Dataverse. I'm going to select this one and click OK. We have a merge here. It will show you that this evaluation goes through Microsoft Service. And so you need to set it's OK. It's a privacy thing. OK, in this merge, what is telling me now? Everything on the left side is not on Dataverse. Everything in SharePoint is not on Dataverse. So it is working. If you click next, you will see we have all this data from my data flow. What are we going to do with this? We're not going to get the data directly from SharePoint. I'm going to reset this load setting and set do not load. I don't want the data from the Dataverse itself. Do not load. But I'm going to use the merge, the resulting from both a merge of both data. So I can go here, set this, and do the same again, the same mapping. Once I click publish, it will get the information from SharePoint that is new, that doesn't exist on Dataverse, and will start pulling that data to Dataverse. If I click again, it will see that data already exists in Dataverse. Let's do nothing. And if everything works as OK, it will show 10 records here. And if I execute the data flow again, it will show you again that there's only 10 records on Dataverse. Let's see if it works correctly. While this is working, you can, just to let you know that the Power Query accepts information even from URLs. from APIs that show you complex information. One great thing that about this is that when you put that information in Dataflow, it actually learns from the data and shows you all the real good structure that you will need from this data. Let's see here. We already have 10 records. And if I click again here, well, this one, refresh, well, trust me, you won't see the duplicated data that we see on the first one. And that's about it. I hope you like my session.
Yeah, awesome, Eickhel. Really good adjustment as well on the little blips there. You're a pro, so thank you so much. There was great feedback and some comments, like you said in the chat. I'll let you look at those in the interest of time.